John F. Kennedy, 35th President of the United States.
The United States presidential election of 1960 was the 44th quadrennial presidential election, held on Tuesday, November 8, 1960. The Republican Party nominated Vice President Richard Nixon, while the Democratic Party nominated JFK, U.S. Senator from Massachusetts. JFK served in World War II in the U.S. Navy in the Solomon Islands in the South Pacific.
JFK was medically disqualified for military service, but used his father's connections to enlist in the Navy.
President Kennedy spent less than 3 years in the White House. His first year was a disaster, as he himself acknowledged. The Bay of Pigs invasion of communist Cuba was only the first in a series of failed efforts to undo Fidel Castro's regime. Yet he was also responsible for some extraordinary accomplishments. The most important and most famous was his adept management of the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962, widely considered the most perilous moment since World War II.
Kennedy was the youngest man ever elected to the presidency, succeeding the man who at the time was the oldest. He symbolized a new generation and its coming of age. The Kennedy family helped create his career and later his legacy. He could never have reached the presidency without his father's help. Joseph Kennedy, one of the wealthiest and most ruthless men in America. Kennedy bought up 1,200 high-grade Cuban cigars the day before he was to order a ban on Cuban imports.
By the fall of 1963, President JFK and his political advisors were preparing for the next presidential campaign. Although he had not formally announced his candidacy, it was clear that President Kennedy was going to run, and he seemed confident about his chances for re-election. At the end of September, the president traveled west, speaking in 9 different states in less than a week. Shortly after noon on November 22, 1963, President John F. Kennedy was assassinated as he rode in a motorcade through Dealey Plaza in downtown Dallas, Texas. Crowds of excited people lined the streets and waved to the Kennedys. The car turned off Main Street at Dealey Plaza around 12:30 p.m. As it was passing the Texas School Book Depository, gunfire suddenly reverberated in the plaza. Bullets struck the president's neck and head and he slumped over toward Mrs. Kennedy. The governor was also hit in the chest. The car sped off to Parkland Memorial Hospital just a few minutes away, but a little could be done for President. A Catholic priest was summoned to administer the last rites, and at 1 p.m., JFK was pronounced dead. The president's body was brought to Love Field and placed on Air Force One. Before the plane took off, a grim-faced Lyndon B. Johnson stood in the tight, crowded compartment and took the oath of office, administered by U.S. District Court Judge Sarah Hughes. The brief ceremony took place at 2:38 p.m. Less than an hour earlier, police had arrested Lee Harvey Oswald, a recently hired employee at the Texas School Book Depository. He was being held for the assassination of President Kennedy and the fatal shooting, shortly afterward, of patrolman J.D. Tippit on Dallas Street. On Sunday morning, November 24th, Oswald was scheduled to be transferred from police headquarters to the county jail. Viewers across America watching the live television coverage suddenly saw a man aim a pistol and fire at point-blank range. The assailant was identified as Jack Ruby, a local nightclub owner. Jackie Kennedy refused to take off her pink Chanel suit, stained with her husband's blood. She told Lady Bird Johnson, "I want them to see what they have done to Jack." Jackie's suit has never been cleaned and lies in the National Archives.